Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do my Victober 2025 TBR. So this is the 10th year of Victober, and which is really awesome. It's my 9th year participating, so I've had a lot of fun with this over the years. Again, this is put on by Katie at Books and Things and Kate Howe and quite a few other hosts that have changed over the years. And then there's 10 hosts this time for the 10th year of Victober. So Victober is reading Victorian literature in the month of October. Stuff written between 1837 and 1901 in England and Ireland. And I have really enjoyed this over the years, and I have collected so many books that I haven't read yet, just from everybody's recommendations and other people reading stuff that I just shopped my shelves this year to try to fulfill all 10 prompts that have come this time with all the hosts. So this is really fun. So I am going to go through each of the prompts and the host, and then what book I'm gonna at least show one or two options for that book or for that prompt, and then we'll see what I actually read. I am very much a mood reader, and I don't ever read everything that I put on my TBR. So these are my pile of possibilities. And again, I have a whole ton because I own so much more that I could pull something else off my shelf that works. So if you think any of these books are ones I definitely need to get to, you need to let me know so I can try to prioritize. Because again, I am going to try to hit some of these big ones and some little ones to kind of mix it up. But I also have so many other books I want to read on my bookshelf. So we'll see how much Victober I do, how many reads I get done. So wish me luck. Anyway, so prompt number 1 is by Kate Howe, and she says a book that features friendship. So the first one I have is The Moorland Cottage by Elizabeth Gaskell. This is a novella that I picked up, I think, last year or so, and I just haven't got to it. And I want to get to more Elizabeth Gaskell because I kind of have liked and hated some of her stuff. So I'm trying to get through her backlist. And this is one of her novellas. And I've heard really good things about it. I believe it was mentioned that there's friendship involved. I don't know because there's no description of what this is anymore. But this one I want to do for prompt number 1. I'm pretty sure other books that in my stack will count for prompt number 1 as well, as you can double up or triple up or whatever you need to do to get the prompt done. Again, this is just for fun. You only have to read one thing. So if I only read this little 81-page novella, I'm still participating in Victober. So anyway, but I'm definitely want to get to this Elizabeth Gaskell because I've had it on my shelf and I'd like to get to it. Prompt number 2 is by Katie at Books and Things, and hers is to read a book that is not a novel. So I guess this was actually her original prompt 10 years, or that on the first Victober, which I didn't get to participate in. But that was cool. So this is like stories, short stories, plays, or articles or nonfiction and stuff like that from that era. So from the Victorian age. So I would like to finish my Elizabeth Gaskell. This one is Gothic Tales. So I have had this book since it was a group read a couple of years ago. Every year I try to read a little bit more. I'm still about halfway through. I would like to finish this year and get this off my cart of shame. So these are kind of for spookier reads, and I just want to finish this book. So that's my other Elizabeth Gaskell for Victober. We'll see how that goes. Another thing I'd like to read is something by Charles Dickens. I have a couple of Dickens in here, but The Signal Man is a ghost story by Charles Dickens. So it's in here with another book or another short story called The Boy of Mugby. So I bought this last year or the year before and haven't got to it yet. So I thought, well, I better, for this prompt, which is supposed to be, stuff that's not a novel, we'll read that. So hopefully I'll get to that because it's really small. I do have a lot of little black classics that I bought a set of years ago that I still have a few of those. So I could read some of those as well. And then if I'm feeling ambitious, I don't know if I'd finish this in October, but I want to read American Notes by Charles Dickens, which is his nonfiction about his time in America when he went to visit. So because I got to stay at the hotel that he stayed at one point. So when I was there in Boston. many years ago. But anyway, so I've been wanting to read this for a while. This is actually a book that got lost on my bookshelf. I forgot I bought it, and then I checked my book inventory and I found it before I bought a second copy. So yay. So this one's a maybe, but it also is not a novel because it is nonfiction and memoir. Anyway, so there's that. So then prompt number 3 is by Marissa at Blatantly Bookish, and it is a character has a change in status. So I'm not sure what kind of change of status happens, but I think it has to do with in East Lynne by Ellen Wood, has something to do with a lot of drama around a governess being raised, or being hired. And I don't know what happens. So this one, I think would be kind of interesting. I've been wanting to read this for years. Again, this is a book that's been on my TBR for years and I just haven't got to it. I would really love to get to this. So, there are other books that I probably have that have a character has a change in status, but this is the one I'd really like to get to. So we'll see what happens. And then prompt number 4 is by Roz at Scallywdelling About the Books. And she wants us to look at empire spotting. So to look at books that we're reading and spot the English empire and things that that happened, that historically that were part of that. And so it's not a book recommendation. Like, it's like to look at your books, just be mindful of that while you're reading your books. So anyway, we'll be interested to see what I do spot. So prompt number 5 is by Elizabeth at A Literary Princess, and hers is to read an underrated women writer. And this does not count the Brontes, Elizabeth Gaskell, George Eliot, Christina Rossetti. I can't remember if there's another one, but the ones I picked was Margaret Oliphant. So I started the Chronicles of Carlingford a long time ago. I read the first little short story in here, The Executor. And then last year I reread The Executor and read The Rector, but I did not complete this little bind up with the first 3 stories in that series. So I'd really like to do that. And The Doctor's Family is the one I have left. So I'm going to put that for this prompt. And then another book that I've had on my shelf for years is A Struggle for Fame by Charlotte Riddle. Or Riddell, I don't know which way you would say that one. This one, I've read some of her ghost stories, a couple of novels of that, and so I'd really like to read more by her. And this one is one that was brought out in this Recovered Voices series. It was like the first one. It's like gigantic. The other ones I have that are later in the series are smaller. But anyway, I've had this book on my shelf for years, and I really, really want to get to this. So this one is one of the higher priorities on the series, just because I've had that book, probably one of the longest ones I've had on my TBR. But she's underrated, but she wrote quite a few books, and I want to get to that one. And then prompt number 6 is Hannah at Hannah's Books, and hers is a book that discusses education. So I'm going to read Nicholas Nickleby by Charles Dickens. At least I hope so. So this is the next one in Charles Dickens. I'm trying to read the older ones that I haven't got to in publication order. The next one I need to read is Nicholas Nickleby. So I think this has to do with Nicholas, who is penniless, and then I think he is sent to some school. I don't know how that all goes, but it has some education thing in it. Anyway, I would like to get to this. Again, this is another one of the priorities because I would like to continue my Charles Dickens novels, what do you want to call it? Journey. And I just haven't got to the next one. Because it did take me a couple of years to finish Oliver Twist. But I'd like to get to that one. Prompt number 7 is from Jess at Dickens and Docs. And I follow her on Instagram and join her Dickens December every year and read A Christmas Carol with them all the time. So hers is to read a Victorian work set in a different era. So I picked historical fiction, thinking that would be fun. So one of my options is Scenes of Clerical Life by George Eliot. I have not continued my George Eliot journey either. I've only read Silas Marner. So I thought I'd pick up her first 3, I think these are 3 novellas. I don't know. I thought I'd at least start this and try to read more of George Eliot before I pick up her bigger novels. some point I'll get to the big ones. But anyway, so that is, and then, so this one, as I said, it says it's historical fiction on Goodreads. So maybe this isn't right, but you have to let me know if you know. But it did say it was historical fiction, so we'll see. But one that definitely is historical fiction is The House by the Courtyard by, this is J. Sheridan LeFou. Fanu. I don't know why I said that. This is the author of Camilla, which I really enjoyed. So this one is a supernatural story, from what I understand. And it takes place in a village near Dublin in 1760. And I don't know anything about this. I bought a couple of his books last year or the year before. Again, I just need to get to some of them. And so this is one of them. So we'll see how this goes. I don't know. It's kind of spooky. So it goes with this prompt, and it would probably go with one of the other ones. But I'm going to count it for this one because for sure I know that that is historical fiction. So that'll work. Then prompt number 8 is going to be the weird one. So we're going to see how this goes, because I have tried to film this a couple times because I'm not very good at at getting everything done the first time. So we're going to do a color wheel. Melena Reads says to use a color wheel to pick the color on the cover, and I might have to come back with a book if none of these that I have already picked have the color. So we'll see. I'm a little concerned because some of these, it can be any edition, doesn't have to be the edition that you're reading. Of course, I would like to pick one that's of the edition that I have. So we'll see. So let's see what color I get. What is that? Deep purple. Okay, so hers, I'm going to cross a book. So a lot of mine I have more than one book listed for a prompt, but this one might be a double up, just because, as I said, it's deep purple, and I also have Lilith. So I would say parts of that are deep purple, don't you think? Anyway, so Lilith is by George MacDonald. So I am reading this for prompt number 9 by Roy Reads Anything. So it is to read a work of fantasy. So I could use the supernatural horror by The House by the Courtyard, I always want to say the Courtyard is the Churchyard, or Lilith, which is one of his fantasies. Now, I don't know anything about this. I got this at a library book sale. There's no description on it. I have no idea. But I've seen a lot of people put this on their Victober TBR this year. So I'm kind of excited that so many of us are reading it. And I would say some of these colors in here, I would say is deep purple. Even down here, it kind of looks like the dark deep purple. Anyway, I'm going to count it. So that's going to cover 2. But as I said, I think that'll work. So that, I'm kind of excited that worked out. Wasn't sure how the color wheel was going to go. Anyway, and then prompt number 10 is by Catherine at Taking Tea with Catherine. And hers is to read a book that has a connection to Jane Austen. This year is Jane Austen's 250th birthday, anniversary kind of thing. It's her birthday. So 250 years since her birth. To pick a book that has some connection to it. So I'm going to pick this because I've heard it connected to Jane Austen, because again, it has a lot of clergy in it, and it's small towns and stuff that's happening. And I'm going to read the next book in the, I never remember how you say this. Chronicles of Barsetshire, is Framling Parsonage by Anthony Trollope. So Trollope and I don't like everything that I've read by him, and I sometimes don't like the books that everybody else likes. So we'll see. This is book 4 in that series. So I do own them all for this series, and I don't want to buy any more Trollope until I finish this series, and I'd really like to. Of course, they're gigantic. It's over 660 pages. So we'll see if I get to this. I really do want to, though, because I want to continue this series. I want to finish it because I've had it for years, and I do want to finish it. All I know is about a young clergyman who is ambitious in this small parish. So we'll see how that goes. And as I said, that the connection to Jane Austen is small town and clergy kind of thing. And then another book that could count for that, but is also the group read, so this one that everybody is reading, is Hester by Margaret Oliphant. So as I said, I've only read a few short things by her. I've not read any novels, but Hester is a standalone, I believe. And we're reading this from October 1st to this 22nd, reading 2 chapters a day, except for the last day we'll read 3. I'm looking forward to this because this has to do with an older woman who is kind of in charge of her family and runs a bank, and a young woman who is dating or is being courted by, I think, one of her nephews or something. Some kind of family relation. Anyway, I'm not sure, but they butt heads, and that's about all I know about this. So this one can count for quite a few of the other prompts. I've heard this one counts for underrated woman writer. I think it also counts for, as I said, Catherine's, for the connection to Jane Austen as well. I don't know what else, but I'm excited to do the group read this year. I don't always take part in the group read just because either I've read it or I've already made my list and that's it. But this year I have that book on my shelf, so I'd really like to get to it. So my goal is to try to, of the statuses, there are quite a few different ones. Like if you do 1 to 3, you're Mr. Macabre. Is that how you said it? I don't know that one. I've not read Great Expectations yet, so I need to get to that. But you read 1 or 3 of the prompts, 1 to 3 prompts. That's what your level is. Jane Eyre is 4 to 6 prompts. And Sherlock Holmes is 7 to 9 prompts. And you have to be immortal Dracula to get to hit all 10 prompts, is what they're saying. So I'm hoping to get between Jane Eyre to, Sherlock Holmes. If I could get higher, that's great. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. As I said, I'm very much a mood reader, so I might start the month strong. And then after a while, I'll be like, okay, I'm done. And that's where I'll end it. But I'm hoping to get the ones I'm most excited or most hopeful to get to. I would say, well, I'm going to say these 5 of the big ones. The small ones I'll try to get in. But again, Hester for the group read. I'm going to read that. Lilith by George MacDonald. I'd like to do Framling Parsonage just to get farther into that series. A Struggle for Fame, because I've had this book on my shelf for so long that I need to read this. And to continue my Charles Dickens novels, I need to read Nicholas Nickleby. So those are the ones I are higher priority, but I really want to get to a lot of the other books too, because they're on my shelf and they're ones I picked up to read. So anyway, that is it. What are you guys reading? If you're taking part in Victober, how many years have you guys done it? I'm really excited to be doing my 9th year of doing this, my 9th time participating. And I'm really looking forward to that. If there are any of these books, as I said, that you think are high priority that I really should pick up, that are really good, let me know so maybe I can make sure I get to those. But again, we'll see what happens. I will be vlogging through Victober, probably weekly vlogs. So we will see what happens. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. Let me know what you'll be reading, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.